welcome here in the show, Frank. I'm very happy to have you here.
Great to be here. Thank you so much.
We heard a song, and I think this song has a special meaning for you. Do you want to explain quickly?
Absolutely. So this is a kind of a house remix of Michael Saylor. He's the founder and CEO of MicroStrategy, basically collecting as many Bitcoins as he can. And he is kind of the super bullish, laser-eyed guy who says there's only Bitcoin, anything else is worth nothing. And I just like it a lot that then the community is getting creative with that and then making remixes and house music of this. And yeah, I like Bitcoin a lot. I like Ethereum even better, but I believe it's a timely, very interesting song.
Where does it come from that this Bitcoin is still a magic for many people and also for the politicians that some said it's something you shouldn't invest and you should hide away from?
I mean, it's very, very hard to understand. And when you look at the kind of the established world, like Warren Buffett, he
Yeah.
said that's rat poison. And then on the other hand, you have the new modern guys like Michael Saylor, who says Bitcoin is the only store of value that we have.
Yeah.
And I mean, the truth is for me somewhere in the middle, because there is a network that is very, very stable over decades. There is high liquidity. It has shown that it works. It's clearly limited in the amount of coins in the code. So yeah, it could work, and currently it looks like it will work as a
Yeah.
kind of store of value. So I believe you can have a little bit of it, but I believe not too much, because um, there's still volatility and also risk, but I believe to have a little portion of it in your assets, that could make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. We have now a turnaround in the politics since Trump said that Bitcoin is something he would like to invest officially. Is
Yeah.
this something which will make Bitcoin value where you own a currency where you think that goes more public or more into the wide society?
Well, for sure. If big countries are adopting the Bitcoin standard, this would
Yeah.
mean kind of yeah, that's for sure that would push the price a lot, and also would make it more stable. We have El Salvador is already using the Bitcoin currency. We have some public traded companies that have some of their assets in Bitcoin. They've just been in the Microsoft board a discussion one day ago, but they so far still declined to put some of their assets into Bitcoin. So the adoption of countries, just yesterday, Texas, a state in the US, as far as I'm read, are really thinking about putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So yeah, the more adoption we will see from big
Yeah.
corporations and countries, Bitcoin will become more valuable and stable. That's what would happen. But it could also go the other way around. That, for example, I don't see it right now because Donald Trump is quite bullish. But he could also say sometimes, "Oh, it's very bad. It's rat poison." And then it could go the other way. But currently, as far as I can see, the stars are aligned, and crypto could have a couple of good years. But
Yeah.
nobody knows.
Yeah, right. And nobody knows. A lot of people talk about playing money. And if some of our listeners have no idea about Bitcoin, how would you describe it?
Well, Bitcoin is a store of value. We have the kind of the same with gold. So gold has no value in itself, but we as people, we believe that gold has a value, so we trade it against assets like an egg or a bread, or euros and dollar from the government,
Mhm.
the central banks. And that's basically where Bitcoin offers an alternative. So it's a worldwide blockchain with many participants in there. It's very secure from the protocol and the algorithms behind it, and has proven that it cannot be hacked or cracked so far. And it's limited to 21 million coins. So that's what this offers, and just has grown in the amount of people that believe in it, that use it. And so it's a store of value. If you worked hard for an hour whatever your profession is, and then you want to store the work you just did, you can get dollars, euros, or you can pounce, or you can put it into Bitcoin. And so far, nobody knows how if this will go on. Bitcoin was the best store of value we have ever seen, but this is no guarantee for the future.
Great description, thank you. And yes, I think it is hard for people to understand it from outside because it sounds a little bit like barter business, right?
Yeah.
And on the other hand, it sounds much. I mean, it is if we look at it from a higher amount and look at it from other areas or other ways of making money, then it's very stable. And what you said, it is possible to check it, and that makes it really good against criminality, good against also, or good for saving your values, right? So normally it should be something, or it must be something which is good for democracies.
Well, yeah, yes and no, because there's different views on it. So one thing is that they say the government really owns the currency, so the central bank controls also the amount of the currency in the market. They steer the interest rates, and therefore they have the power, and hopefully doing it wisely, to kind of do with how many jobs do we have, how much money is in the system. So there are people that say that's the best way to go, because governments are smart, and they need these tools to make sure that we all have a job and everything goes fine. We're not growing too fast and not too slow. So that's one view. The other view is to say, sorry, they're printing money like hell. The debt crisis is unsustainable. And Bitcoin is a solution because there is nobody behind it who can just print more Bitcoins. So in the code, and you can't change the code, at least not easily. So far, it has been, yeah. So the basic concept is you can't change the code of the blockchain of Bitcoin, and therefore it's limited in the amount of Bitcoins available, and no humans should be able to print more or less or steer the market. So these are two different philosophies, and there are pros and cons for both.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, you have a deep insights, not just into Bitcoin and blockchain. You have a deep insight also in many and new technology. You are an investor. And what is the difference for you, the biggest difference between being an entrepreneur and an investor? I mean, you look at it from different angles. You are a deep TV personality with Höhle der Löwen, where you're not only an investor, but also having your show. So what would you say from these two views?
Well, yeah, so being part of Shark Tank and Dragon's Den is then the kind of the third thing where you invest on steroids, and there's also some show element into this. So starting first with the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is somebody who builds something that is not existing today. And that's for me kind of the best thing I have done in my life. But it's really, really hard. So
Mhm.
um, from the outside, it looks often very cool. And then you see on TechCrunch or whatever, hey, they raised 100 million, they sold the company, he is now
Yes.
a superstar. But what
Mhm.
happens in reality is that you really eat glass. So
Yeah.
going through building a company, building a team, working on high pressure, on high speed, with a lot of competition, because otherwise it's not an attractive market if there's no competition. It's truly super intense, yeah, and that's why building a company is great, but most of them fail, and you have to be ready just to do it. Even so, it is kind of a suicide mission, but it's a great mission. Then then
That's
investing, I have two ways to invest. First is the private market. So we call it venture capital. That's what I also do in Dragon's Den or Shark Tank. Uh, and there you see a company, you only see it, or some private investors. It's not public. You invest, and then we build the company with the team. So we write code, we do the design, we help with sales, we set up the HR department. So we here at Freigeist Capital have the concept that we help the company then build, but we're only helping. They're the founders in the on the steering helm. And then we invest in a public market, and that's a little bit like a chess game, because the public market is where everybody can invest, basically.
yeah.
All the information must be public or should be public. Anything else would be insider trading, which is for very good reasons forbidden. And there you have to have the data game, so how you utilize the data that is available, how you move basically the chessboard, and that's a very well, it's a great challenge to beat the market, and it's of course not easy. Yeah, and these are the different ways and how to invest and work.
And if you describe your first exit, how was this? You called it this entrepreneurship, but kind of suicide, and I completely agree with you. There's so much awaiting behind each bush, and you never know or where is the angle, what drives you crazy about a team member or the finance investor is paying late, whatever it is. How was it? So the feeling of the first access, yeah, can you describe this moment or the situation where I mean, you have a baby, you're working very hard on this, and then there comes a point where you say, okay, boom.
Well, absolutely. So it was a company that where we created a software platform for online photo services. So you took a photo digital, and then you had a normal print or a book or a calendar or a mug. So that's a big industry today, and we became the worldwide leading provider of the software. And then we stumbled upon Fujifilm in Japan,
Mhm.
and they said, okay, we want to take over, or you want to buy the company. And then we had a lot of discussions. Many Japanese people came over. We're located in Germany,
Does it
and
do with the Japanese culture?
yeah, the Japanese culture, yeah, exactly, is very, very well. For me, it's strange. Not for them, of course, but for me, it's strange because, for example, people are sleeping during a meeting. So, so when I'm building companies, or let's say Elon Musk, who is the
Yeah.
greatest entrepreneur for me, he's always very few people in the meeting, very short, very sharp. If you see that you cannot add value, leave the meeting and so on. And it's very different for Japanese people because they bring a lot of people. Some sleep. They discuss before
What they
what they
present
want to
to you,
achieve, and
right?
they're not confronting each other inside a meeting or discussing. So it's very for kind of the Western Silicon Valley, like that's where I was trained in
Yeah.
the startup scene. It's very strange. So yeah, so they came over, a lot of people. Then we discussed it, and then they said, okay, yeah, we want to buy the company. And then for 2 or 3 weeks, I heard nothing. Then I called this guy and say,
Sleeping.
Masa-san, what's going on? Yeah, and it was strange. But in the end, we were sitting at the big legal office from Clifford Chance, and then we were negotiating the sales contract, the SPA.
Yeah.
And then was one Japanese guy, I don't know why, with a calculator, solar powered, with a cat sticker on it. I will never forget this. And he was typing it, and I was like, oh. Now, yeah, in the end, we signed the deal, and I was sitting with my business partner, Mark Zieberger, in the car, and I said, okay, shit, now we've really sold the company. What's next? And then we put 1 million aside on a bank account and said we split this in 10 100K euro checks, and we
Mhm.
just give them to other startups because they're
Right.
struggling. And basically, we this is a good cause because it's so hard to build a company and a startup and to build a success. It's very, very unlikely that we will ever get any money back. So we invested into 10 companies, and that then became a very big success and one of the most successful seed VCs in Europe. Yeah, but then the first starting, because we'd only built one company, was like, shit, nobody is surviving this. The money will be gone.
Can you share with us a few of these seed investments which really did good?
Yeah, a Wunderlist, for example, we have been now it's part of Microsoft Office,
Yeah.
and it was the fastest growing task manager. So when you have a to-do app, which is kind of an industry today, there's Todoist and other Superlist and other great products. So we basically established that industry together with the founder Christian Reber.
Mm.
We had the European Uber. It's called Free Now. I don't know if it's available in the UK, but it's in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and so on. It's the leading service. It's called Free Now. We sold that to Daimler, and yeah, and many other startups that really became very big, and then we sold them, and then we got more money back, and then we started to investing more seriously in bigger ideas like Lilium Aviation, that unfortunately is currently struggling, but where we build electric airplanes. We invest in cancer treatments, energy storages, and so on. So we started then to invest more progressively in future technology.
Yeah, and future for Germany and abroad. So what you've done and how you founded it's really organic and it's a great success story. And I'm looking forward to talking further to you. Also about where does this name Freigeist comes from, because this might sound a bit weird for our native listeners. So stay tuned and we are back in a couple of minutes. We continue with Frank Thelen, serial entrepreneur, investor, TV show personality, and bestseller author of some books. So, Frank, thank you for having you here. We already talked a little bit about your role as entrepreneur and investor, and we stuck there where I said I would love to know where this name Freigeist comes from, which is the name of your venture company.
Yes, so we are based in Germany, and we're also mainly invest here in the region. We also have some investments in the other parts of Europe, but we are focused basically here in the DACH region. And Freigeist means no limitations in your thoughts, and we want to build the next frontier technology, or want to help great entrepreneurs to build it. And I believe it's fair to say that we support crazy missions, so that are kind of doomed to fail, because otherwise it's not real venture capital. And we're really supporting some crazy missions. Some work out, some fail, and that's where we believe the Freigeist is a good name for the company.
I really love the name because it reminds me of my childhood where I had to stick in a school with nuns and only girls, and I hated it and took every day where I could miss school and tell my parents any lies about why I can't go to school. Freigeist would have been exactly the word which have been triggered me. Do you think that we in Germany need more of that to be more a nation of investors, a nation of risk takers, and country of entrepreneurs?
Well, absolutely. So we lost our pioneer geist quite some time ago. And when you look at
Yeah.
why is Germany until today reasonably well off, because it's of the Siemens, it's of the Sennheisers, it's of the Porsche, it's of those people that really built something with a lot of risk and a lot of passion. And what I see today is that this is gone. So we lost it. And when somebody wants to build something big, many people say, "Oh, this will not work. We have to regulate this," and all these other things. And so yeah, Germany, unfortunately, is in not in a great spot right now, and we need to revive our creative thinking, our building, our passion, our risk appetite. So yeah, it's really a bad situation currently.
I agree with you. Freigeist can't be a better word for the situation which is needed. What do you think? What should be done? I mean, for example, the IHK, the Trade Chamber of Commerce, they have a group of people where I'm also part of. They sent us into schools to tell about entrepreneurship experiences. But if I ask them, the school people, who of you is interested to found, then sometimes one person is raising the hand saying, "Oh, my father is a dentist. Maybe I'm a risk taker." and take us and then I have to laugh inside myself if it wouldn't be so sad. What must happen? What is the yeah what are the steps needed which are really also possible to do?
So yeah, I also sometimes visiting classes in school, and so I've one idea. What I give to them is to give them a credit card that basically has 10,000 euros every month on it, and say, now what are you doing with your life? Because they're thinking in such boxes and say it's all about security. So many people want to work at the government.
Yes.
Some people just want to do what their parents currently do because they can make a living out of that. And there are very, very few who says, okay, I want to go crazy and I will build something new. And what can you do? So that's why I'm also spending my time like on shows like this show. I'm writing books. I am sometimes on a primetime TV show where we show entrepreneurship. So
Mhm.
yeah, you have to educate the people, and in the end, we need heroes like Steffi Graf and Boris Becker. They kind of filled the tennis schools, and we need the entrepreneurs like an Elon Musk that have built rockets, that have built planes and whatever. And then you say, okay, I want to be like him or like her, and then I want to do it too. So we
Mhm.
need heroes. And then, yeah, and that's quite important. But the problem is to build a hero, you need a lot of money. Because even if they are successful, like Daniel, who's the founder of Lilium Aviation, is wicked smart, worked super hard, and achieved a lot. But you need billions and billions of dollars to
Yeah.
build a plane, a rocket, a cancer treatment, or whatever. So
Yeah.
we are currently missing the later stage growth funding in Europe. That is a problem. So yeah, let's see and hope that we can build finally a rocket again in Europe with either aerospace or other startups, or that Lilium Aviation survives. But yeah, it's tough currently to build those heroes here.
And do you think we have too little money here in the country or in Europe, or is it just this less risk taken because
The
of?
mindset, the mindset. So for now, we have still money. We have money of the big families
Yeah.
like Aldi's, Miele's, Sennheisers, Fissmann's,
Yeah.
whatever. So we have, and I personally know many billionaires.
Yeah.
And they have also the liquidity. It's not that it's bound. Like my money is mostly bound in startups and other things. So yeah, of course I can survive, but it's always like I'm pushing all the money back into all those crazy missions. But
Yeah.
they have the liquidity or Susanne Klatten.
Good
But
sounds. Yeah.
but they're not willing. They're not willing to take the risk. They don't have the DNA to say, okay, here's 100 million for Lilium Aviation. Here's 100 million for ESA Aerospace. Here's 100 million for the quantum computing and whatever. So we're missing the people with the deep pockets. I am slowly on my way to hopefully get some money so that I can write bigger and bigger checks.
Yeah.
I'm on my way, but it takes just time because I don't have a rich family, but I have to really earn the money.
Mhm.
But we need a mind shift here desperately so that because now we still have the money. I don't know how long we have it.
Yes, you're right. I completely agree with you. And if I see, for example, Melinda Gates saying $60 million for female startups or female invested funds, and here we see no movement or close to no movement. We have people like Gesa Pelzer with OXO, but it's little. We have some signs, but it's really a job. And I completely agree with you. Do we need another politics maybe? I mean, we have politicians which have no idea about entrepreneurship, which have no idea about risk taking.
Yeah, yeah, and unfortunately also getting involved in the current election in Germany because I believe it's really important to just have just today two meetings with some of the candidates. I'm supporting them financially, but also
Oh,
yeah in my reach because we need a different people in the government because currently there is no understanding of how to it's not only startups, but we also need a strong country. So we need to deregulate. The Doge initiative in the U.S. is quite great. I like Milei a lot what he's doing, but our politicians are laughing about this and say, "Oh, can you do what Milei is doing?" And I said, "Well, maybe not everything is great, but at least he's really succeeding. Look at the results of his reforms, and I
yes.
want to have kind of the same movement here in Germany where we got slim and strong and agile again, and that's very important. But honestly, yeah, I don't know if we will succeed.
No, I don't neither. I'm from Rhineland, so I'm always very positive. but here it stops a little bit, unfortunately. But you are a best-selling author, and that you're a best-selling author means that you can tell stories and can bring people to a level that they are trusting in you and your messages and that what you're saying. So, why did you wrote a book? And how was it to writing the first book?
Oh, so why? Because I always like new challenges, and it's sometimes you have to do a challenge. Like Mark Zuckerberg is really doing this, of course, on a different level. So every year he's taking a new challenge, and I was saying, okay, wow, why not a book? And I wanted to tell the story in the first book about my life
Yeah, right.
because there's a lot of positive thinking and fans around my kind of brand and my life, but there are also a lot of haters who say he's a bad guy, he has no clue. And I wanted to tell the true story about how did I build it, where did I go wrong, where did I fail, how much did I suffer, what were the big successes, and really wanted to tell the honest story about it. And it was my first book, and it ended with explaining what will happen or hoping to explain what will happen in the future. And then just a couple, I don't know, 2 years later, I wrote a book only about that. So how will disruptive technologies shape our future? And that's then my second book called 10x DNA. And my third book, which I'm writing currently, will be about a different topic.
Okay. I'm looking forward to present it to the listeners here as soon as you're ready with that. Um, but how can you make time for writing this? Because I know by myself it's tough. I made myself the goal 10 years ago to writing 50 books in 10 years, and it was a tough goal. I managed it, but
Yeah.
I know how tough it is if you have many things to manage over the day.
Well, absolutely. You have to get in the flow and then write over Christmas and so on. And I still remember like going skiing with my wife, and then I just had to say sorry, 2 days less skiing, and I have to write. Yeah, you have to find the time and do it.
Exactly.
But here's the thing: once you learned it, and it can only push everybody to write a book because it is a craftsmanship to write and to bring your thoughts into structure and then sentence and then words. And after writing the first and the second book, I believe my emails, my whole communication style is so much better, so much more effective because I can write faster. So it's like training, it's like playing tennis or whatever. So writing a book will make you a better writer, and we have to write a lot. So it's painful. It's a painful process, but it's really worthwhile.
It's absolutely right. I mean, can't agree more. And it's interesting because some of the quite well-known psychotherapists, Clemens Kuby, he also says this is a kind of you are the producer of a kind of theater, of a kind of new rewriting of a part of you. So you are the regisseur, and you can grow a lot by just reading because you reflect a little bit. You grow by reading it again. So it's a process which has also a kind of regenerative and psychological effects, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, I believe it's great. So yeah, maybe the message here to your audience, maybe start writing a book.
Yes. And of course, I will, if you give me some links or I have the links, I can also use them and drop something down on Instagram, giving the people some ideas about the books. And we will present them, especially, of course, if you have them in English. So, some people would think that you have no time at all for yourself over the day because you might be so busy with everything. You have your head focused on technology. But I know that the Frank Thelen is much more differentiated. So, what are your hacks for over the day to stay centered, to stay to stay in your with a strong immune system? What are you doing over the day to keep around that?
So first of all, it's about passion. So if you really love what you're doing, it doesn't feel like work, but it's just like your life. And a good friend of mine, Judith Williams,
Mhm.
it's unbelievable the energy that she has to sell and build her product and so on. So she's always about the product, and she just loves what she's doing. That's kind of the same for me for technology. So I'm really curious about what will happen now with the next generation of quantum computing, what will happen with the next generation of large language models. So I'm just like, um, I'm just happy that I can work. But then what I do is I have a clear digital ecosystem. So with the task manager, the documents that we manage, of course, today AI tools that help me a lot. And then there's a team. There are people that support me in many different ways. People that are often in many areas smarter than me because I don't know that much about physics and other areas. So I have very bright people, very engaged people that help me in having a very effective day to get everything done.
Yeah, that's great. And what you're saying is super important. So therefore, you need to know your limits. You need to know your strength. Where do you got it from? I mean, of course, you tried things, you mastered things, but is there a recipe you could give listeners how they can figure out their strength and their weaknesses?
Well, first of all, you really need the drive to build something, and I believe that's the thing. So when I look at many people that say, okay, I tried everything, but it didn't work. But I said, okay, but last night you watched Netflix, and 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 that's not going through your limit. So your brain and your body can do so much more, and that's the first thing. So if you wanna know your strength, go into the extremes and say work really hard and listen to Elon. Elon is the best entrepreneur maybe we ever have seen.
Yeah.
Definitely currently alive, but I believe definitely, or maybe even the whole whatever the best entrepreneur, and he works so hard and so focused, and that has to be your ambition to say, okay, that's my strength, so I will go. And if the weakness, you have to reflect on yourself and see where you're really effective, what you can work on effectively and what not, and then try to find the right people that work with you. But first of all, you have to get a little bit of success because you need the money to hire the people. So it's not like yeah, and that's because if you just start, okay, I want to have a great writer, I want to have a great designer and whatever, and then I do a great show. But first, you have to use everything that you have, and then just build the first show that's not perfect, but earn the first money, and then hire a video producer. So it's step by step.
Yeah, great. And also, I think it's important to learn from you. It's step by step. It's not something which is made in a snap. It's something which is built by discipline, something built by trust, also after your failures. If you look back, what is the most important you learned out of the whole? Your experience as an entrepreneur, your experiences as an investor, your experiences as a TV show personality, and your experience as a bestseller author. Maybe one tip you would like to give to our listeners.
Get a little bit better every single day. It's minor steps, but get better. So whenever something happens to me, because I did miss a meeting, I was in the wrong meeting, or I did send the email in the wrong way. I always reflect and say, how can I make sure that this will never happen to me again? And we all have problems and challenges in life. So just get a little bit better every single day, and it will compound in a way you can't imagine.
That's great. Thank you so much, Frank. It was such a pleasure to have you here. I wish we could extend the radio show now to another hour, but maybe we can do it again or do a second series. And I'm already happy to review your book here in this radio show. So looking forward to have yourself time for finishing it over your skiing time now over Christmas, and very much looking forward to be one of your first readers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure, and maybe talk soon. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.